right, perfect. Well, welcome back to our series, Business of Law. I'm very excited to have with us today Michael Caplan from Lowenstein Sandler. He is their Chief Operating Officer. And this is very exciting for us because up until this point, we've talked to a lot of attorneys who have had to step into business management for their law firms. And today we get to talk to a business expert who has a lot of familiarity with law firms and working inside of them. And so, Michael, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you, Catherine. I really appreciate it. And, it's an interesting statement that you just made by having a lot of lawyers that take on business management roles, because as somebody who is not an attorney, but is a business person by education and profession, we're starting to hopefully see more of the business professionals step into these roles that bring the business expertise and acumen. So that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's really, I'm excited to talk to you today to see where those who have the legal experience and are flexing into business can meet with the people who have the business experience and are flexing into the legal space. I think there's a lot that can be learned there. So just to get us started, I would love to hear, I know it has over the past decade plus become more common for law firms to hire COOs, but would you just give us a quick tour of how you got here and what your career path was to becoming a law firm COO?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that. I actually got into legal operations on the corporate side, and I was the chief operating officer of the legal department, the corporate legal department at Goldman Sachs back in the early 2000s. And I was at Goldman Sachs as a manager of the Y2K project and different technology and project management, different types of projects I did for technology groups supporting the investment bank. And I met the general counsel, and I also have a CPA and a master's degree in finance and accounting. So she said, hey, come on, I need help with managing all of our outside counsel expenses, legal technology projects, et cetera. So I became the head of operations for a corporate legal department, and I stayed there for several years. And after I left Goldman, I actually started my own consulting business, all of the e-billing and matter management, the big craze that occurred in the early 2000s. I had this idea, wow, maybe I could go consult with all these other companies that need help in e-billing, matter management, and outside counsel billing guidelines. So I did that, and I learned how to really network and sell and do my own business development and learn about different general counsels and chief legal officers and companies and corporate legal departments, and also how to manage outside counsel. So I was on the other side. I did that for a few years until we sold the company. And then I went back to Marsh & McLennan, which is the largest insurance broker in the world, and I became their COO of legal, risk, and compliance. And then I had a friend who was the COO of another big law firm who took a similar route, and he said, Mike, you would love the law firm world because it's the revenue generating side of the business in addition to just managing expenses. So I had an opportunity to interview at my prior firm, which was Goodwin, and I became the COO of Goodwin in 2014. And at the time, it was a $700 million, 7-office, 550 lawyer firm. And when I left in 2024, it was a $2.3 billion, 17-office, 2,000 plus attorney office. And I really got to learn a lot about managing people and managing partners and working with law firms and outside counsel and vendors and clients, et cetera. And I built a big network of people in that industry. I did that for a long time. I became a prominent speaker on the tour. I spoke on a lot of panels. And then I decided in the beginning of 2024 to make a move and join Lowenstein, which for me, it was something on a personal and professional level, was a great way to move my career. The chairman and managing partner of the firm, Gary Wingens, I've known him for several years. Lowenstein's a highly profitable, great culture firm that's really on a trajectory to do different things, and they really embraced legal operations, the professional staff, and the business of law. So. And in addition, their main office is in Roseland, New Jersey, which is very close to my house. But that had nothing to do with why I made the decision at this stage of my career. But it turned out being a great move. And I've been here now for about a year and a half. and I'm helping lead and run the strategic plan. But I bring a lot of years of experience from Goodwin and on the corporate side and consulting side, and what we're doing with lateral partner hiring, with our practices, with culture, with financial metrics, with systems, with AI, with innovation and technology. So, it's really great. I have a big seat at the table. I'm very engaged and involved with all of our partners, with clients, with our professional staff, with people like you. So at this stage of my career, being at Lowenstein turned out to be the exact right move for me. And I hope to end my career here. I really have enjoyed what we're doing, and I hope we take this firm to a different level. Look, we're already a $500 million law firm, but it would be great to be a $1 billion law firm, but with a great culture and a firm that's really leading in many different areas, not just in certain practices and businesses, but in how we attract our talent and our people.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think, and I'm sure this will be true at Lowenstein as well, your how it started and how it ended at Goodwin is a very compelling advertisement for hiring a law firm COO, I would say, and you especially, obviously.
Thank you.
But
Yep.
yeah, that's quite a testament to what happens when law firms are able to really give a lot of focus and empower their legal operations team, which is great to see. And speaking of which, I know it's a fairly well-established role at this point, but I do think, and we're starting to even see some trickle down in law firms where you're starting to see smaller regional firms are even hiring COOs now to run their law firms from the business side, which is great. But I think there are still some people who wonder what is the role of a COO at a law firm. If you don't mind just taking a couple minutes and sort of explaining
Sure.
that would be great.
Well, I'll give you two answers. I'll first give you what the role is, and then I'll give you a day in the life, which sometimes could be very different than the role, to be honest with you. So, first of all, I think it's a career. What I also try to tell people, whether they're in operations, marketing, finance, communications, practice management, et cetera, all the areas of legal operations, I really believe that the business of law is a career. It's not just a job. And one of the ways that we're seeing that is in AI, in innovation, in law firm data, and all the metrics that we're providing. It's a very competitive, highly competitive business for clients. People make changes all the time. So having very talented professional staff in the law firm is a big deal, regardless if you're an AmLaw 25, an AmLaw 100 or 200 or a regional firm. To have that business acumen in order to really raise the game and to enable the talent that works with you to support the attorneys and the clients to truly understand the business and practice, that's a big part of the job. So when I break my job down, first, just the traditional role, I am basically defined as the head of the professional staff at the firm. So I lead the chief officers and their teams across finance, marketing, business development, communications, diversity, equity, and inclusion, data privacy, cybersecurity, IT and innovation and AI. I'm everything that has to do with what attorneys aren't doing every day.
Yes.
And we continue on a practice management, everything that we're doing with our tools and our technology and products and services and how we go to market, our brand strategy, our culture, how we think about our firm altogether. And how we manage our financials, our pricing, our alternative fee arrangements, our banking relationships, that all falls under the role of legal operations. So it's me and all of my chief officers and their teams. I report up to the chairman and managing partner of the firm, but of course I work for all the partners. But a big part of my job is also to build the relationships with the partners. Mm-hmm. And I think if anybody wants to be a COO of a law firm, it's not just about, the size of the firm, but it's how you engage with partners and attorneys in your organization, truly understanding their clients, truly understanding what the practices are. How do we go to market? How do we think about what Lowenstein, how do we differentiate Lowenstein, for example, versus our peer firms? How do we build relationships with clients, both with the practice of law and the attorneys and the business of law with the professional staff? This is a people business. So if you become a COO of a law firm, whether you went to law school or not, you have to understand it's a people and relationship business. And what I have always tried to do, and I think my consulting background really helped with this in terms of my sales experience and my business development experience, is I engage with partners, professional staff, clients all the time. I'm out to dinner. several nights a week, lunches, breakfast, cups of coffee, building true personal and professional relationships, and understanding what my people do. The other thing is, I really believe if you're going to be a CEO of a law firm, you have to take the C out of the OO. I'm not a big believer in titles. I am a COO who is very strategic, truly understands this business, but I will wash windows. So whatever it takes to do the job, I will do. If you need me to help with an event, if you need me to help with spreadsheets, if you need me to go to a meeting, if my phone rings at 9 p.m., I'll answer the phone. It is an all-inclusive, all-encumbering job, but you have to be willing to do it all, because you have teams of people who watch you, and you want to be that go-to person, and then not only do everything yourself, but get the right people with you to help you, and that you could delegate appropriately, you could partner appropriately. But at the same time, you ultimately want to be known in the firm as a true leader of the organization, a listener, someone who's responsive, and someone that can step into different positions. So for example, I can step in to billings and collections and finance and FP&A. I could step into program and project management. I can step into communications, media, brand, business and client development. My CHRO probably will not agree with me, because I probably can't step into all the HR functions, but being the COO, you're engaged and involved in all the HR functions. And I think one of the other things you really do need as a COO is you need very strong chief officers that are also senior leaders. I am very fortunate at Lowenstein to have phenomenal leaders as in my CIO, Innovation Information Technology, my head of HR and talent management, my head of finance, and my marketing and BD leader. Like, I have very strong chiefs, because it's critical that they can then bring people up under them to also understand the business and practices. So all of that's the job. Now, that's the traditional job. I look at my calendar every day. It changes 15 times during the day. That's part of the job. And a big thing that you have to understand when you're working at a law firm, and I tell people that are getting into this business, this is not a job. You have to know how to balance your work life and your family, because you, as the COO or a senior leader in the professional staff in a big law firm, your clients are your partners and your attorneys, as well as the clients of the firm. And you have to be available and responsive all the time. And, look, I could still go play golf 2 days a week and go to the gym, and been married 28 years and raised 2 kids. And I actually have a beautiful dog, but I am fully responsive in this job. So you have to know how to balance that. That's a big part of the job.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That was great. Thank you. That's probably the most comprehensive description I think I've ever heard of.
You said a couple of minutes.
COO.
I watched the clock, so I could have kept going. Try to stop. Yep.
No, that's great. And when you were talking, you hit on one of the things that I really wanted to talk about, which is something that, is a very relevant discussion point right now, but is how are you thinking about how the introduction of AI and AI tools in the legal space, how that's going to change, the way that law firms go to market, the way that they provide services, the way that they bill. What are the top things that you're thinking about when it comes to AI implementation and law firms?
I mean, that could be a whole other interview and conversation,
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
I would probably bring our Chief Innovation and Information Technology Officer, Maureen Naughton, and folks on our knowledge management team. But, first thing I would say tied to that is you need a really good team of people that truly understand their products and services. They are changing every day. The relationships that we have with vendors on enterprise licenses, for example, how we're thinking about Harvey and Copilot, CoCounsel, ChatGPT, deep research. How do we utilize that data? It's changing every day. When I started at Lowenstein back in March of 2024 versus where we are today in June of 2025, it's totally different. Mm-hmm. And how we are investing in technology and budgeting for AI products and services is becoming a bigger conversation at the firm. So first, I think it's understanding the products and services that are out there. We are also a firm that has a tremendous practice in emerging company joint venture, what we call our ECVC. So a lot of our clients are involved in AI. So we spend a lot of time understanding our clients' products and services around AI. Again, that is always changing. And you have to look at the goals of your clients, whether it's to go public, it's to be bought out by private equity, it's to raise money, it's to create a fund, et cetera. But they are constantly bringing products and services to us as well. And part of the law firm is to analyze them as part of the client relationship. We get that. So product and service understanding, the KRS and knowledge management teams, the library teams and law firms, you have to have a good team like that. This is their time. You know, if you are in knowledge management and knowledge resource services and innovation, what a great time to be in this. It is a time where you can be a real prominent figure at a law firm, but at the same time, you have to understand what law firms do. You have to truly understand how lawyers think, the client relationship. Now, I really believe in AI with pricing, billings, and collections. I have a background in billings and collections. I love collecting money. I love asking clients to pay us. I love coming up with different discounts and alternate fee arrangements. I believe that over the years, I've built the subject matter expertise in truly evaluating outside counsel billing guidelines. And client outside counsel billing guidelines and e-billing and matter management systems are changing. And the clients are going to get more and more data on their outside counsel. They're going to have information on rates and discounts and structures and leverage and on a matter by matter basis, how things are staffed. We too need to understand that. How we go to market with scope and our assumptions on a deal or a transaction, we have to be pretty accurate. We have to be able to have a project management discussion with clients because they will have the data, not just on Lowenstein, but all the law firms they use. So the competitive bidding process and the RFP process is going to become more complex for law firms because clients are going to build AI protocols with that. We have to do the same. I also believe that, you know, when you look at how law firms have staffed, you know, summer internships, first years, second years, et cetera, what the roles of these younger attorneys will include will be very different in the future because they have to actually truly understand AI. They have to understand how to get things done faster. The clients are going to be looking to repeat different types of documents, right? That will be used over and over again. We have to be able to be experts on those documents. So how our lawyers are trained is going to be different. And how we utilize those products and how we go to market and partner with our clients are going to be different. We are very used to in this business just doing our work and billing by the hour. What we have to start to think about is doing our work and partnering with our client and getting to the best resolution. At the same time, that's not just a way for a client to say, oh, I could save money, because I truly believe that these are true partnerships. Whether you're a law firm or you're the client, when you're working on different matters, it could be in litigation or on a corporate transaction of any type, there are risks and rewards that both should share. Law firms should take more risks, but law firms should also ask for more reward. So we all benefit or we all lose. We do it together. But AI is going to help us utilize data and information to work and partner together. So project management as a skill within lawyers is going to become more and more important. So what we're doing at Lowenstein is we're really investing in products, we're investing in people, we're investing in training and education. We also have a true board and leadership team and a chairman and managing partner who is all in on this. Because we're watching the changes going on in the marketplace and they are going to continue. I cannot go a week without getting a call from several of our already existing vendors about things we need to buy. Otherwise, we will be left behind. But then in a month from now, that will change again. So having the right people to analyze that is a big part of my job and our firm's basically what we need to accomplish over the next couple of years.
That makes sense. And things are changing so rapidly. And I know a lot of organizations are struggling to keep up with the pace of change. And it's interesting that you mentioned, you know, increasing the project management competency also. How are you tackling that? Because that project management has not historically been a core skill set that attorneys or even really law firms, to be perfectly blunt, have felt like they needed to engage with. So how are you managing to inject more of a project management understanding into the firm?
Through brute force. No, I'm kidding. No, but it kind of is. You know, so one of the things that we did when I joined the firm is we created a PMO, a program management office. I believe, you know, a lot of law firms have PMOs, but it needs to be a PMO both for projects like technology projects with start and end dates and contracts and, red, amber, green and risk management and, what the budgets are. That's one side of the PMO, but the other side is the matter management side where, truly sitting with attorneys and getting attorneys trained to manage their matters as projects. How do we staff? How do we get what's the client going to work on versus what we're going to work on? How do we communicate? How many people should be providing updates? What does the client need to see every week? At the same time, how should we be producing our bills, making sure our time is entered and having conversations and transparent conversations with clients on costs? Big part of project management. Lawyers aren't good at it. They hate talking about money. So you have to be able to train these lawyers to say, hey, look, we have a budget of X. The scope has changed. Our assumptions have changed. We meet every week. Let's have that conversation. The budget is now X times 2. If you don't want the budget to be X times 2, then we have to talk about the scope and assumptions. But lawyers are very good at doing the work because they want to make their clients happy. I get that. That's how they're trained. That's their job. But at the same time, we are a business that bills by the hour. We are still that business. And so we have to be able to have transparent program and project management discussions on budgets, on scope, assumptions, staffing, leverage, people, and outcome. Now,
absolutely.
If a deal, say you're doing an M&A or say you're doing something on the corporate side, if it doesn't end well, if it busts or the sale drops, or whatever you're doing, you have to have that as part of your project management conversation.
Yes,
what does this mean? What do we keep doing? What do we move forward? Are we going to go on ice for a few months? How do we look for future targets if you're looking to buy a company? So the folks on the professional staff at law firms have to be as educated as to how to manage those conversations with their lawyers as the lawyers have to be with their clients. So that to me is all project management. That's different than a team that's implementing, data centers and servers. That's still PMO, but this is revenue generating PMO. And we have to make sure law firms, because we operate on profitability. And by the way, here's the other thing. It's okay when the clients ask for discounts, and it's okay when the clients want different AFAs. That's okay. We get that. We have high rates. That's the challenge of growing revenue and profitability by raising your rates every year. But if you can build a project and program management initiative with your clients so they understand what they're paying for and how those hours are being initiated and what the outcomes are, which a lot of them can be huge revenue generating or risk management transactions for those clients, it's worth every penny because you want to get the best lawyers doing your work and lawyers that understand your business. So part of the project management is engaging with clients so we're embedded in their business to understand what they do. So we're not retraining all the time and building more time. So that to me is to answer your question. That's all part of project and program management. And as a COO, I can engage in those conversations not only with our attorneys, but with our clients. But so can my pricing team, so can the business development team, so can our practice management teams. You have to basically take and educate that information across the firm.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good to hear. And I think for those, my background was business first and then getting into the legal industry and predictability and transparency goes such a long way with clients when it comes to things like billing, and project management is really that's the way that you get there. So it's great to hear how you're implementing it.
Thank you. Yep.
Are there any, in terms of resources, or we try to include some references for people sometimes of other materials? Are there like podcasts or authors or sources of information that you like to tap into regularly, or you found have been very helpful for you to sort of stay up to date and stay sharp on different business practices, and especially if it's specific to the legal space?
Yes and no, and I'll tell you why. So, I've been doing this a long time, and I still do read Law 360 and the American Lawyer. I get the feeds, I read them. I mostly love to see what other law firms are doing. I love to see the movement. I'm a big user of Bloomberg Law. I have a whole my own setup that's been custom for me. So I get different feeds that come in tied to business of law, COOs, AI and innovation. I kind of pick what I want. So I get the feeds of information that I like to read. But for me also, what I've learned, I've been doing this a long time, is I love to build networks and relationships with other seasoned professionals like myself to truly understand how they're thinking about things. You know, so I have relationships with lots of different COOs, both on the corporate side and on the law firm side, that I like to have these types of conversations. You know, if you're looking at, for example, if you're looking at Harvey or Copilot or Co-Counselor, how are you using that in your firm? I'd rather have that conversation. Everything that went on with Trump and DEI and capitulation, I've had lots of conversations with peers that were on both sides of that. How are you communicating this? What's the feeling inside the firm? How are you reacting to it as the COO? What's your role? Because we all didn't know how we would or would not possibly be involved with that.
Right.
So you could read about all that, but I would rather have real life conversations with people that I've built relationships with. And by the way, the phone calls come my way too. And that's what a true relationship is. I've been very fortunate in my career to work for really good people who I keep in touch with. You know, Gary, who I love working with at Lowenstein, very, very big student of the law and law firms in the business of law, as are several partners here. I still keep in very close touch with a few of the ex-chairman and managing partners of my old firm who are also fantastic at being leaders and understanding the business. And we'll talk about what's going on in the industry and what we're seeing in different firms. You know, again, maintaining those relationships. I still keep in touch with general counsels of some of my old clients. Some have, believe it or not, retired. I guess I'm now becoming one of the older people in the business, which is kind of weird, but I am. But I love maintaining the networks that I have. And, you know, I like the Zughazer events. Those are always interesting and fun because you really bring up topics that we will talk about. The Sandpiper events are always great to go to, that Lynn Glasser runs. I like to speak at those when I have a chance to do so. But for me, I also go to those not just for the material, but to identify who are the right people that I should be talking to and potentially who are the right people I may want to hire, you know, because you want to get the best talent. So as open positions come up, those are the folks you keep in touch with. You're like, okay, hey, come join us. Come join our firm. We're doing something really special here. Bring all that knowledge and information with you. I don't really read books or periodicals on the business of law. I don't have a lot of time, and my free time, that's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But, you know, when I am speaking to, and, you know, I could go play 18 holes of golf with people that I've known in the industry for 25 years, and we'll talk about all these topics at length while we're doing something social, whether it's a sport or going out to dinner. But I really believe the better educated people that are running operations for law firms and corporate legal departments are those that build networks and people that they have to share information with.
Yeah, that's great. All right, excellent. One final question for you. If knowing what you know now, if you could go back, give yourself one piece of advice before you took your first COO of a law firm role, is there anything specific that stands out to you that that you would tell your past self?
I do it every day because I have two boys that are 26 and 23. That and one of my sons works for another big law firm in marketing and communications, and my other son just graduated from Indiana University, and they asked me the question, how'd you get into being you know, a COO of a law firm? And I said, when I was your age, I had, you know, no idea this is what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But so I'll answer it in two ways. The first thing is what I tell young people and I tell my own children is, you know, do something you love and really build relationships with people and build a networking and really attach yourself to really smart people in whatever you're doing so you become really good at it, but enjoy it. Now, if I was to look at myself 30 years ago, you know, and I look back and look forward and where I am today, the one piece of advice that I would give myself then, and by the way, I continue to give it to myself now because I'm still the same individual, is take a lot of time to listen, take a lot of time to learn. Again, that's part of relationships. You don't have to solve world hunger every day. You know, you enjoy your life. You only live once, but make sure that you do something you thoroughly love and you contribute to. You know, if you want to just be an employee and work 9 to 5, that's okay. But if you want to embrace yourself in a career and you want to really truly embrace that, learn it, understand it, and dive into it because it's very fulfilling once you hit certain levels with the right people. And I tell myself that all the time. Even today in my mid-50s, I believe that, which is why I wash windows, right? Because I truly believe in being that person that learns all the time with other people. And the last thing that I would say is, when I end this career, I'm pretty sure it'll be very different than what it was when I started. Things change, and embrace new technologies, because it is going to be the way of the future in law firms.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. Thank you so much for joining me today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. It was great having you on, and I'm sure that this will be very helpful for others. So thank you again.
Catherine, I'm a big fan of MLA, and I really enjoyed getting to know you. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care.
You as well.